right, Matt. So we have done the DreamWorks top 49, or all 49 movies ranked according to the Rotten Tomatoes Tomato Meter, which is the one-stop shop, tell-all, accurate list, right?
Sure. It's the amalgamation of the critic scores.
Yeah. Critics who never get anything right. But either way, I think it's about time we put together our own top 10 list for all DreamWorks films. And starting, I'll tell you what, I will go first since you know DreamWorks better than me and you can rate my list.
Fair enough. I will say, though, to people who are new here, this is just our opinion. It's just our opinion. Like, these are our... You're smiling. I know why you're smiling. This is just our opinion. We may be right, may be wrong in your eyes, but it's an opinion-based thing. All media is subjective, so let us know if you agree with our list.
You're going to come with me. This list is the most accurate list that you are ever going to watch. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now that we've established that, go on. What's your top 10? Hit me with it. I will judge you.
All right. So my number 10 is apparently one that you don't like at all. It's Shark Tale. I love Shark Tale. I think it's great.
It's not that I don't dislike it. I wouldn't put it top 10, but I don't dislike it.
I would very much. I really enjoyed it. I do quote it every now and then, the big dumb dummy head. Every time I hear the song Car Wash come on, I think of Shark Tale.
Yeah.
There's a couple other bits that I find it funny enough to bring it to a list, if not an honorable mention.
The human faces don't throw you off.
They really don't.
Fair enough.
Maybe it's because I grew up in that era.
There are some great parts to Shark Tale. It does have some very quotable things. I especially love the whole the shrimp in the shrimp cocktail trying to not die sort of thing. Please no, I have a baby.
My sister passed away and I have... Number 9 is Chicken Run. I had to throw it on the list. There's a lot of really good This isn't Pixar. We've already done that one. There's a lot of good DreamWorks films. I had to throw Chicken Run on there. It's the OG. It's the classic.
It is.
And it is. And like you said, it doesn't age. It still holds up well.
Yeah. The claymation is amazing. I love it.
Claymation in general, you have to have respect for it. The amount of time it takes.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to do stick drawing animations with MS Paint, and I made a 30-second clip and gave up on it altogether because after making a single walking animation, it takes too long. I ain't got the patience for that.
Yeah. Now imagine claymation where you have to move their foot, take a picture, move their foot, take a picture, move their foot, take a picture.
The sculpting, you knock it over and you don't know where the spot was. The whole thing.
You're restarting.
My number 8 is Madagascar. I enjoyed that movie. I think it's hilarious. I haven't seen the other ones. I've had zero interest in continuing the series. I think it's because when they started coming out, I was already watching other movies and just kind of fell on the back burner. That's the same way with Kung Fu Panda, really.
Fair enough.
Number 7 for me is Shrek, the original Shrek. Can't leave that out of a top 10 list. It's hilarious.
No, you can't.
The shine the grass, or wipe the grass, and no, is it shine the grass?
Wipe your shoes, shine your face.
Shine your face. That's what it is.
Wipe your face. Shine your shoes, wipe your face.
Yeah. The Duloc jingle. Everything about it. I think your favorite quote is the gumdrop buttons.
I can quote from the moment that interrogation begins all the way until the mirror introduces the princesses. I can literally do the entire thing. Yeah.
Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me.
Did you see the TikTok about the kid who watched Shrek so much that they could play the entire movie in their head? And their dad would walk in and just be like, "Why are you staring at a wall? Are you watching Shrek in your head?" Yeah.
I had that with Finding Nemo at one point. I could mute Finding Nemo and I could say the whole film. With
the wife and I were actually talking about Finding Nemo, but that's a story for a different different day. Back to my list. Number 6 for me is Kung Fu Panda.
Okay.
Same thing with Madagascar. I fell off after the original, but Kung Fu Panda for me, I watched that a lot. It was one of the few DVDs I had access to as a kid, and so it was just constantly on, and I always found it really funny.
The Wuxi finger hold. Oh, you know this hold.
But number 5 is the second Shrek. I think Shrek 2 is the better of the Shrek franchise. Hilarious. It's Meet the Fockers, but Shrek.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Number 4, you're gonna love this. Number 4 for me is Boss Baby. I love the Boss Baby. I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
Did you ever watch the movie Look Who's Talking?
Yes.
It's animated Look Who's Talking.
I mean, yes, but I just think it's I don't like it. I just don't like it as a movie. I don't know why. You're right. I should like it, but I don't like it.
Oh, come on. It's in the first 5 minutes, you've got a baby getting a pacifier and he's facing the wrong way, freaking out because he doesn't want a pacifier up the butt. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I see where your humor is. Okay.
There's the adult humor. Number 3, for my top 3, there's 2 of the same franchise. My number 3 is How to Train Your Dragon 1 because it is such a good movie. It still holds till this day. I have the trilogy on DVD in Steelbook because I enjoyed it so much. Number 2 is Over the Hedge. Loved Over the Hedge.
Okay.
It's it's a slapstick movie.
It is.
Now, the animation quality is rough. It's pretty minimal. I would give it like Shrek level animation. The original Shrek.
Yeah. It's a bit better than Shrek, but yeah.
A bit.
Weirdly,
but
I feel like
still...
Shrek held up better.
Oh, it totally did. Over the Hedge has fallen like under the rug. I feel like a lot of people don't know it.
Yeah.
And my number 1 is How to Train Your Dragon number 2 because it is the best of the trilogy.
That's fair.
Hands down.
That's fair. I feel like How to Train Your Dragon is either number 1 or number 2 that's people's favorites. Like it's one or the other.
Yeah, it's a good series, and I'm looking forward to the live action.
That's fair. I'm really looking forward to the live action. Again, we mentioned it in the Rotten Tomatoes list. I'm so happy that Gerard Butler is stoic. I'm so happy. Like, I don't care about any of the controversy that's going around or anything, but Gerard Butler is there. I'm happy.
Yeah. But either way, that's my top 10. Let's hear yours.
It's a good list. I have some similarities. I have some differences. My number 10. Well, before I say number 10, I have an honourable mention of Ants.
It didn't make your list.
It didn't make my list, but I have to acknowledge it. It was their first movie. Prince of Egypt, I think, came out like a few months later as their second movie. But like, you've got to give them props for the audacity of Ants, of like one of the animators or something like that leaving Pixar, going to DreamWorks and saying they're making a movie about bugs. And they go, say less, we're going to make one first. And it arguably does pretty much as well.
It is a huge movie.
Yeah, it's for the audacity alone, it gets the honourable mention. But it just missed out on number 10, which is Chicken Run.
Okay.
Because, Chicken Run had to beat out Ants for being my number 10. Because, I mean, everything you said, it's amazing. It's so funny. The humor is so dry. It's so dry. It's beautiful British humor. I feel like British humor in general is very hit or miss. I think a lot of people think that we're mean. But we're not mean, we're dry.
It's funny you mentioned that because I have noticed that, obviously, you and I have been friends for very close to 10 years now. Still got a little ways to go, but I have gotten so used to how you act around things and how you interact that I'm immune to a lot of it. But when other Americans see anything British, they're like, Man, what an ass! Like,
We've had
no.
that. We've had that before with some videos. Like if you've come onto my streams or like we've had it on some of our videos and stuff where people have been like, "Oh, this guy's so stuck up. He's so obnoxious and stuff." I'm like, "I'm just British, mate." I'm just British. Like, it's just the way it is. And Chicken Run is just like peak British humor. It's so good. It's so good. They're chickens. Just the fact that the chickens are organising. They're chickens. Like, it's just funny. It's so funny. My number 9 is one that on that Rotten Tomatoes list did not need to be that low. It's Sinbad. Sinbad, The Legend of the Seven Seas. Sinbad is such an under the radar sort of movie. Like, so many people I think haven't seen it, and I think that's its problem, is that not enough people have seen it, because it's so good. It's really interesting because it's like Sinbad being like the swashbuckling like pirate sort of thing, being given the task of going to save his friend and whatever, but like the whole premise is he's got to go to the edge of the world to go confront this godlike creature to try and save his friend, basically. And his friend's fiance comes along, and she's the love interest.
So would you make the argument that it needs to be on my Captain America list?
I put it on, but I put it low.
Okay.
I put it low on the list. It's definitely one to watch. The animation is gorgeous, especially the animation of the bad guy, because she's a spirit, a monster sort of thing. Like her hair, like being fog as she's moving and stuff. It's so well animated. It has no right being as good as it is. And speaking of no right being as good as it is, number 8 is Prince of Egypt.
Back to back.
Back to back, they both have no right being as good as they are. Prince of Egypt is disgustingly good. Like, there are not many movies, in my opinion, that are based on, like, scripture that are good, right? They tend to be, obviously, quite preachy for obvious reasons. Whereas the Prince of Egypt, they kind of looked at it and went, "Yo, that's like, if you take away like all of the heavy like, oh god sort of thing, this is a badass story." Like, this is a really cool. This guy rocks up to his like not actual brother but brother sort of thing who rules Egypt and goes, "Yo, let the Jews go," sort of thing, and he brings down all these plagues and everything. When you look at it from that, it's really good. And Prince of Egypt genuinely has no right being as good as it is. It's also quite, for a kids movie, it's very, not gory, but that level of thing, because obviously a lot of people die in the story, right? A lot of people die in the story, so like there's a lot of death happening, and they don't shy away from it. So it's really, really good in my opinion.
I can appreciate movies that do that.
Yeah. But after Prince of Egypt, all of these I think make sense being on this list, because they're all phenomenal. Number 7 is Shrek.
Hey,
Shrek, somebody. Shrek is iconic. The Napoleon complex of Duloc, and the whole point being the prince is meant to go save the dragon, but he's such a coward that he sends someone else. All that kind of thing. It's really, really good. It's one of the best princess movies ever, in my opinion.
There's so many good puns. Like, we all know what Lord Farquaad is short for.
Yeah. I love the fact that they come up to his castle and they go, "Do you think he's compensating for something?" There's so many quotable moments in the entire Shrek franchise, but Shrek 1 for sure. "Oh, merry men."
Is it Shrek 1 or 2 where Donkey's singing? He's like, "I'm all alone with no one beside me." And Shrek's like, "Donkey, yeah, Shrek, quit singing."
I think that's the first one.
I can't remember.
But it's so memeable, it's so clippable, it's so good. Another one, though, that is very memeable and clickable is Madagascar, which is my number 6. Madagascar is so good. I was debating between Madagascar and Madagascar 3, because Madagascar 3, for me, I find it slightly better, but I chose Madagascar 1 because I feel like you can go into Madagascar and enjoy it, regardless of whether you've heard of Madagascar before. Whereas Madagascar 3 is a continuation, right? So, like,
Yeah.
it kind of, like, unless you've seen the first two, you have no idea what's going on. So, yeah, I feel like Madagascar 1 beats it just slightly because of that.
I think it has really good pacing, too.
Oh, yeah, great pacing. Great pacing. Amazing cast of, like, side characters as well.
The granny.
Yeah. I will say, honourable mention, though, to Madagascar 2, because I talk a lot about how much I like 1 and 3. Madagascar 2 has one of my favourite things from all movies, which I quote constantly with M, which is, like, the whole joke of King Julian going on about the fact that he is a great whistler. You know? Like, have you seen Madagascar 2?
Mm-mm.
No, at some point, it's like, I've always wanted to be a professional whistler. I'm pretty good at it now, but I want to, really work on it. And he just goes going like that, you know. And then, like, there's a bit later on, it's like, I'd do it myself if I wasn't so good at whistling. Like, it's just so funny. Like, Madagascar as a whole is great, but the first one I think is the best.
I love the little, what is it, a little baby lemur that follows him around? Oh, King
Mort.
Julian!
Yeah, Mort, yeah. Give the gods their sacrifice. Oh, thank you very much for the sacrifice. King Julian's great. I think King Julian is he carries Madagascar 2, whereas Madagascar 1, they're all great.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, though, is How to Train Your Dragon. 1. How to Train Your Dragon 1. I like 2. I just think How to Train Your Dragon 1 is a more enjoyable overall experience.
Okay.
I like
it's a
the
journey.
idea of, like, I like the idea of the outcast of the group sort of, like, looking at things a different way and all that kind of thing, like going like, well, we don't have to kill the dragons, sort of thing.
But
like,
not being a crybaby.
Not being a crybaby. But yeah, so, like, I like How to Train Your Dragon. I think it's a great story. I love Stoic. I love all the characters. They're all great. So yeah, it definitely cracks my top 5. Number 4, though, is one that I took great offence to with that Rotten Tomatoes list. Number 4 is Megamind.
Okay.
I think Megamind is one of the best, like, superhero movies we've got, but it's definitely, I'd say, the best villain redemption movie that we've got in the animated scene.
Isn't Megamind where you got my intro from when I was still doing, like, gaming content? Like the
yes,
Thank
and
You,
I
Random
love
Citizen?
you, random citizen. Yeah, Mega Man is Metro Man. Metro Man is Metro Man is like talking to the audience, and, like, a random audience member goes, "I love you, Metro Man," and "I love you, random citizen," sort of thing. Yeah, that's where that's from. I think it's great. I think it's phenomenal. I think they're all funny. I don't agree with the thing that Rotten Tomatoes, like, overall thing said that the humor doesn't land. I think the humor lands. So for me it's number 4. My top 3, though, my top 3 are very much interchangeable. I had to put 3, 2, 1, otherwise they'd just be 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
So, like, this top 3 is very much a top 3 that you could put number 3 at 1, you could put number 1 at 2. It could go anywhere. Number 3 is Road to El Dorado.
Okay.
I think Road to El Dorado is phenomenal. I think it's very funny. It's one of the most geared towards the parents watching movies I've ever seen in a kids movie. There's so many jokes that the kids will laugh at, but the parents will understand. Like, it's one of those, the kids laugh at the funny thing, but the parents go, no, that's really funny. Like, the fact that there's a very heavily implied sex scene in it. For those who don't know, it's the story of Road to El Dorado is basically about these two like petty criminals in Spain, accidentally getting on the ships that Cortez went on to like conquer what's now Mexico, right? Mexico and Southern America and stuff. And like Cortez is like going to look for El Dorado or whatever, and they've accidentally stowed away on his ship. And they end up like escaping, and like they find El Dorado on their own and all that kind of thing. But like one of the people who lives in El Dorado, she's also like a con man sort of character. They're all con men, but like she's sort of a con man character. And there's one scene where someone comes into the room and her head shoots up from the chair, right? So the chair's like that, and her head shoots up, and one of the guys comes up in a position where it's very clear that she was in his crotch area. Right? It's very, very obvious. Kids, straight over the head. No concept of that. But every parent has gone, like, it's great. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think the relationship between the two friends is great. It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
It's the Leo meme.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. But yeah, I think it's great. Number 2 for me is Kung Fu Panda 2. And I cannot recommend it enough to you if you love Kung Fu Panda. The Kung Fu Panda is great. What Kung Fu Panda 2 does better is the story, I think, is better rounded. The villain is so much better because he's basically the mirror of Po. So like Po is obviously an orphan. The goose is not his father. Spoiler alert. The panda did not come from the goose. I know. So Po is obviously an orphan. And then you've got like the bad guy who blah 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 blah. Spoiler. But like they're kind of like mirrors of each other, where one of them has chosen to be good and one of them has chosen to be bad. You know.
Okay.
And it's really really good. It's along the way, sort of Po finds a little bit more out about his past and all that kind of thing. There's a lot of cool new characters. It's just great. It's just a great film. Have you seen the meme go around? The only reason why you're still alive is I find your idiocy mildly amusing. Sort of thing, like the peacock thing. No, it's a meme that's trending at the moment. But that's the bad guy from it.
Okay.
It's really, really good. But yeah, it's a great film. And you definitely need to watch it along with Road to El Dorado. Yeah, my number one is Shrek 2. My number one is Shrek 2. Shrek 2, I don't know how they took the incredibleness that is Shrek and made it better, but they did. And I don't know how they did it. It is one of the few movies that gets a laugh from me consistently every couple of minutes. Like, I don't know how they've managed to do it every couple of minutes, but they have.
It's sprinkled incredible in there so well.
Yeah, it's incredible. The amount of references, even at the beginning when they're on the honeymoon, and like the Little Mermaid ends up on top of him and she yeets her into the ocean and stuff like it's just so funny from start to finish. Like the geniusness of casting John Cleese as the dad, you know,
I think
it's so good.
It's such a good sequel too. I've said it before, you know, a lot of movies struggle with their sequels, no matter how many they have. And for Shrek 2, they nailed the sequel.
Yeah, Shrek 2, I'm consistently laughing. There's so many amazing characters. Like, you could sit here for ages, for 5-10 minutes, and list off all the characters that are funny. You know, there's just so many. There's all the ones from Shrek 1, and then they've added so many more with the King and the Queen, and Prince Charming, and the Fairy Godmother.
Yep.
Yeah, there's all these new characters who are all funny as well. It's incredible. I don't know how they managed to make Shrek 1 funnier, but they did. They did, and it deserves to be my number one because of it. It just does. I
can agree with that. That's a good number one. I'm surprised El Dorado made it on your list. I figured you'd leave it back in the 40s like Rotten Tomatoes. Either way, what'd you guys think of our list? I I'm sure there's going to be some toes that were stepped on in there. That seems to be the way of things. But if you guys have your thoughts, if you have your own list, head over to the Discord. Let us know in there. It's a great place to chat it up and tell us everything. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'd do that. I'd hit the like. That way you guys can, hang around, see more lists that come out on the channel. But in the meantime, I would say that's about it for us today. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. You messed up the outro.
I did. I started going. I defaulted to my old outro.
It's one word. It's one word. The usual word when you're leaving.
No, we're just.
Do you want me to do it?
No, we're gonna Family Guy this. We're just gonna